That penny you see there is an old one. Kate's father found it where he made love for the first time years ago. He would come up here sometimes and think about that day that changed everything. His father, who had passed on, collected old coins. Maybe he's trying to tell him something. If he knew where his coins were now, I assure you he wouldn't be trying to contact him. Kate's father believed that everyone makes that choice in life that introduces them to adulthood and lays the tracks they are going to follow till they die. That choice is often made blindly, not thinking of where it will lead us. The act was a beautiful thing, but they chose to ignore how serious it was. They were young, in love, but had he not come here, he could have saved them both. There's Kate, just 6 years old and having to see him like that. Shame. Her father used to tell Kate she was a replica of her mother. She looked just like her. He died when she was 5. Before that, he worked in construction, then chose a career that killed him. Kate often read from his journal. He always opened his entries with, "Can you hear me?" She thought he was speaking to the world, to those that wouldn't listen. The things he wrote were not easy for her to read, but she forced herself to understand who he was. As far as she could remember, there were good times, memories she held close. But this story wasn't about those times. This story was about the decay of her young life and those around her. Her father started writing after her mom died. She had hoped that the things written about her were not true, but sadly they are. Years before Kate was born, her mother had a child. The baby girl came at a time when her mother's heart was filled with darkness. The pregnancy was not planned, and the thought of her parents knowing frightened her. The day came when she did the unthinkable. She took the child's life in the most disgusting place. Years later, Kate's mother got pregnant with her, and there were complications. She lost so much blood, the doctor said she wouldn't make it. Her last words were whispered to her father. She told him about their firstborn and what she had done. Kate couldn't imagine what that did to him. She often thought it was her that came and died that day, and somehow God forgave her mom and gave her a second chance. Kate, sent back to live her life. The fact that she laid in a hospital bed and not in the dirt made her think she wanted to make things right. Her father struggled when her mom died. He lost the one he thought he knew and a child. Kate's father loved her, but his escape from his past and responsibility came shortly after she was born. When Kate was 6, she began to experience fear. She could feel an evil presence constantly in her home. She would play with her toys where she felt safe, in her bedroom. She spent a lot of time there. In their basement was a fireplace set in white brick. Kate was terrified because she could not see the wall behind the fake wood. She thought it was an endless dark cave and never went down there without her father. She was certain that a wolf lived inside. Most nights, as she'd lie in bed, she felt its presence, manifesting itself into a frightening beast and other things. Her lungs would tighten and she could not move. She also dreamt of a clown that would visit her almost every night. He was dressed in her dad's pajamas and had yellow fluffy hair. His eyes were green and piercing. He never entered her room. He would just sit or stand motionless and watch her sleep. At first she was scared, but soon got used to him being there. She would look forward to his company and felt he was blocking the path of the wolf. She also had this high-pitched tone in her ears that would elevate as she fell deeper into sleep. She sometimes could get herself to wake up, but most of the time felt trapped in her mind. She knew she was in her bed asleep. She could see her face resting peaceful and would scream at herself to wake up, but couldn't. One night, when she was dreaming terrible things, her father came into her room. He calmed her with his voice and said everything would be okay. He pulled a penny from his pocket and told her it brought him luck that day. It was a rare Indian head penny that dated back to 1907. He also said it was a magical penny that would keep her safe. That meant a lot to her. She asked him if she could bring it to heaven with her. He said if she held onto it tight enough, she could. Kate's father got tangled up in drugs after her mom died, using and selling. If he hadn't chose that path, he'd still be here. In Kate's mind, it was the worst nightmare of the worst kind. But unfortunately, it was real. After losing his construction job, he hooked up with an old friend bringing narcotics in from Nevada. They would meet somewhere on the border every 2 weeks. Her father would have money for him, and his friend would have a new supply to keep the town junkies fixed for the next 2 weeks. Sometimes he'd bring Kate along. He didn't like to, but had no choice some days. It was a risky job, but he made good money.
Wait here, okay?
Okay.
You're late!
Tin can broke down about 1.5 miles back.
So what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna let her cool down. I think she'll start up.
I've been getting a lot of complaints.
For what?
They say you might as well be bringing back water. And I've noticed the change too.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm just on delivery detail, man. You're gonna have to talk to Nacho about that.
Gone, just like that. Kate didn't know what was happening. She didn't know that bullets were flying. She didn't even know what a bullet was. She has since tried to forget that day. It's been difficult. Her father wrote of experiences he had as a kid. She enjoyed looking back on him when he was young like her. He wrote, "Can you hear me? When I was young, I went camping in the mountains near my home. I went a lot. I loved the outdoors and joked with my parents that when it came time to die, I wanted to be sitting in a camping chair overlooking the stunning landscape from where I grew up. Into the night I would lay there, pondering the stars, thinking about how small I was compared to all that I could see. It took these quiet moments looking into space to try to understand the meaning of it all. Though Kate's father had this life he probably thought he'd never choose, she loved him. He was a good man with a good heart. She looked to him. When you're 5, you clench to the good in people. You believe in your father. You put all your trust in him. He is your protector. She just wished he took some of that love and care he gave to her and shared it with himself. But that's not what he did. She forgave him. She misses him. She will see him again. Time passed. Kate's father was in and out of the hospital for 2 years. He got cancer. When the doctor finally told him the chemotherapy wasn't working, he said, "Enough with this." If he was going to die, it wouldn't be in there. It was hard for him to stay on his feet for long, but he could feel the chemo leaving his system and felt a little better. On the other hand, he knew the other monster that would be taking over soon. He tried to distract his mind by walking around the yard, and he would read to Kate when he felt well enough.
Whoa. I'm just on delivery detail, man. You're gonna have to talk to Nacho about that.
Can you hear me? I need to tell you another story. You never met your grandpa. He died before you were born. He was a good man. And he looked forward to having grandchildren, but wasn't around long enough. He was a coin collector and collected all his life. His father was a collector too. Before my dad died, he gave me his collection. I didn't share his love for collecting, and I sold the coins after he passed. It hurt my mother, and things between us haven't been the same. One day my mother found that old penny among my father's things. Do you think she gave it to me? No. She took it to my father's grave and buried it. She wanted it to be close to him, the remaining piece to his collection. She prayed it would find him. Until recently, I had no knowledge of the penny. She told me of the day she saw you with it, told her where I found it, and I gave it to you the night before. Kate, wherever you are, I hope you are at peace. This cancer has consumed me. It has spread like a wildfire, and I thought with you here, I could beat it. I don't have long. I thought I lost you that day. Kate, I brought you here. I am sorry. I am sorry you couldn't live your life. Forgive me. Lord, it's time. Please take